Hi, so today me and my group are going to explain about derivative instrument. What is derivative instrument? Derivative is a financial asset whose value is dependent on the value of an underlying asset consists stock, bonds, currency, or commodities. Common form of derivative instrument or product are future, option, and swap. Islamic forex derivative instruments are first, Islamic promissory forward contract, second, Islamic forex swap, Islamic cross-currency swap, Islamic profit rate swap, Islamic option, and the last one, Islamic structured products. What about Islamic foreign exchange? Foreign exchange market is a component of the capital market or as a link between domestic capital market and the global capital market. Market participants include banks, corporations, traders, customers, non-banks dealers, forex broker, and the last one, central bank. This exchange market has their own function. First, facilitates the conversion of one country's currency into another. Second, sets and quote exchange rates. Third, offer contract to manage foreign exchange exposure. How exchange rate determined and quote? There are two ways to set exchange rate. First, exchange rate can be fixed by the government. Second, exchange rate is determined by force of demand and supply. Exchange rates are subject to constant change. Exchange rate also can be appreciated and depreciated due to demand and supply of ringgit. Thus, exchange rates are quoted in either spot exchange rate or forward exchange rate. How about Islamic option? Islamic option provided contract option that give buyer the right instead of the obligation to purchase or sell a specific quantity or an asset for a set of price at the specific date in the future. Conventional practice also have option. First, call option give the right to buy the asset by a certain date for a specific price. Second, put option. The buyer is given the right to sell a specified currency at a specified exchange rate or before a specified date. Are you ready for calculation swap rate? There are two types of swap rate calculation, which Islamic cross-currency swap and Islamic profit rate swap. First, Islamic cross-currency swap. The Islamic cross-currency is a bilateral agreement between two parties to make a regular payment to each other at an agreed interval, but in two different currencies. A client receives 5% quarterly for 5 years for its $10 million investment. In other words, the client receives fixed investment return in USD. However, it is required Malaysia ringgit to pay for its liability. So the client swaps this with an Islamic bank for ringgit based on Clibor. This is the example for Islamic currency cross calculation, which we can see that the total of client pays and Islamic bank pays is actually the national amount exchange between of them. Next, Islamic profit swap. Islamic profit swap is a bilateral agreement between two parties to make a regular payment to each other at agreed intervals. These instruments are used to hedge against adverse profit rate movement, actually by exchanging cash flow fixed to floating within the same currency. For an example, a client has 2 million ringgit measure rental obligation with 2-year remaining tenure. The client is paying a floating rental by paying a Clibor flat every quarter and wish to pay an equivalent of fixed rental. The Islamic bank agrees to swap the floating rental payment with fixed rate for the next 2 years at 3.5% per year. In other words, the client will give the Islamic bank rental based on FIBOR, and the Islamic bank will swap this with the client at a fix at 3.5%. This is the example for Islamic profit swap, which we can see that Islamic bank have to pay the net amount, which means mukasah to client and the total of amount as below. The last one is issue, opportunities and challenging. The main issue is the differences of opinion among the scholars as the permissibility and acceptability. The vast majority of Islamic derivative contracts are privately negotiated and concluded OTC as the opportunity of this topic. The last one is concerted effort from all concerned parties to come up with Sharia compliant hedging alternative to complete the Islamic financial system ecosystem.